Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my first ever review. A review of the anime Senkai no Qwaser. A fair warning ahead of time, this anime consists of, well, a lot of nudity and violence. So, if you have some problems with that, I won't be showing any of it in this particular review, but you should bear in mind that I will be talking about it, and with that being the case, it may not be as good a thing if you can't handle that. So feel free to leave if you can't. So, let's get started, shall we? The anime Senkai no Qwaser follows the story of Mafuyu and Tomo. And one day they discover a young boy named Alexander, or Sasha if you prefer, along the road. Um, Sasha is a Qwaser, and a Qwaser is a person with special powers. They can use an element that is unique to them as a form of their weapon, and Sasha can use iron as his weapon. The story follows Mafuyu and Tomo as they are thrown into the world of the Qwaser and their search for something called the Icon, a particular special power that will grant someone the power of a god, or a d-god if you will. And that right there is actually kind of interesting. I myself am not at all a religious man, and as such I don't really know many of the religious references that they throw your way, but at the very least I have to admit that religion makes a pretty solid form of material to make a good story out, and then, well, it's kind of disappointing when you find out that this story pretty much falls flat. Not so much that it is not that good, but it's just incredibly hard to follow. Especially for someone like me who doesn't really know much about religion, it's not that easy at all, and that's really disappointing. I was really hoping to get something a little bit better, and I just didn't really get it. And as far as the religious folk who might enjoy this story, well, I am fairly certain that they are going to leave this particular anime straight after the first episode, and I will get to that in a bit. So, the story is most certainly not aided by the characters. The characters are, well, pretty much what you would expect. Mafuyu and Tomo are really only there for the fan service, and that is really disappointing. They start off relatively interesting with a little bit of backstory, but end up being pretty much completely what you would expect. Stereotypical fan service anime girls. And that's just really disappointing. As for Sasha, well, out of all the characters in this particular anime, he's probably the only one that has any kind of interesting things to him. Not so much because he is a fun character to look at, but more because he's just a complete jerk to everyone, and that makes him somewhat interesting. At least fun to look at. But unfortunately enough, it's not enough to make him anything out of a good character, and as such I cannot really say that I enjoyed the characters. And as for the supporting cast, I can't even really remember the names of any of the supporting cast members. So that right there should be plenty of information as to what I thought about them. Now, there is some good to this anime, such as the animation. It's very slick, it looks very nice, it's very fluid, but it does tend to get a little bit of a backseat whenever there aren't any action scenes going on, or, well, whenever the fan service is dialed down. But considering the fact that this anime consists about 90% of fan service, you're still gonna get an anime with 90% of the time fairly good animation. As for the soundtrack, well, the soundtrack is actually pretty freaking awesome. Especially the first opening and ending being completely mind-blowing. I really enjoyed the opening and ending, and they are without a doubt probably the best thing about this anime. The second opening and ending are slightly less interesting, with out of the two of them being the second ending still being better than the first or the second opening, but not as good as the first ending. And let's not talk about the second season, because, oh my god, just no. Let's not talk about the second season. Now, alright. I feel like I'm trying to avoid talking about the fan service here, so let's just get this over with. Alright, in the anime there is a particular plot point that is introduced early on, which, well, it basically is the plot point as to how these Qwaser can use their powers. They need a certain form of fuel, like the Naruto characters have their chakra and the characters in Dragon Ball Z have their ki and all that sort of stuff. In the anime of Seikon no Qwaser, it is something called Soma. Now, I looked up what Soma was on Wikipedia before I found out what Soma was in the anime. And it turned out that in the real world, Soma is a drug that is made from a special plant and is consumed by monks in India. And it is part of a ritual revolving around their religion. Now, considering the fact that this anime has highly religious tones to them, that makes a lot of sense. But it is not at all what it is in the, well, in the anime. In the anime, Soma, it's breast milk. Yeah, I'm not even joking. In the anime, Soma is breast milk. That's pretty much what it is. So, basically, it's not drink from a bottle either. No, it has to be drink straight from the source. Yeah. And in the first episode, well, in the first episode, a nun comes in, proceeds to do a little prayer, then basically undresses herself and lets Sasha suck breast milk from her. Bye-bye, religious viewers. Like, I highly doubt that there's going to be any religious folk that is going to stay after something like that. And like I said in the beginning of my review, I'm fairly certain that religious folks are probably the only people who will truly understand the story, knowing that they have some information regarding religion. So, yeah, it's not good. So, I have three major problems with this particular plot point. Let's start off with the first one. It defies logic. You see, this anime tries to make us believe that basically any girl, basically straight off of birth, so a baby, could potentially give breast milk. That makes no sense. This anime never tries to establish that it takes place in an alternate world or something like that. As a matter of fact, it tries to make a point out of it's not taking place in an alternate world, so it makes no freaking sense. I can truly understand that you are successful enough at hiding the fact that there are people with special powers and all that sort of stuff, but I highly doubt that you'll ever truly be capable of hiding the fact that basically every girl can give breast milk. Now, as for my second point, it pretty much promotes pedophilia. You see, the simple fact is that most of the female cast in this anime is between the ages of 15 and 17, all being high school girls. There are in total, as far as I can tell, 2 adult women and 1 like 6-year-old girl that apparently is kept in isolation because she apparently possesses the highest amount of good quality soma. So, yeah, I mean, seriously. And I would have been slightly okay with it if they tried to establish that only teenagers need soma. But it's not the case. There are plenty of Qwaser out there that need soma for, well, for the use of their powers. So that is just so freaking wrong in many ways. Now, as for point number 3, well, how to put this? You see, I said in the beginning that I am not a religious man. I personally believe in science. I'm an atheist. And as such, I consider nature the strongest form of power in this universe. You can leave all of your religious comments trying to convince me in the comment section below. I will not be reading them nor responding to them. But the thing is, I personally strongly believe that nature is the strongest force in this universe. And nature has given us humans so much. When we are born, we are basically nothing. We have no teeth, no any form of power. We are pretty much transparent little things that if you drop us from 2 centimeters height, we will break. Breast milk is the thing that gave us the power to survive. Not today as much anymore, because today we have all sorts of things that can potentially help with that, simply because we have things that can substitute it. But not too long ago, like 100 years ago, it was incredibly important. I'm not entirely sure how long ago, and it was incredibly important for thousands of years. It allowed us to grow as a child, to become stronger, to build up an immune system, to grow smarter, to evolve and become the dominant species of this planet. And you, as an anime/manga designer, want to use this particular beautiful thing as a cheap ploy for fan service? No, I cannot accept that. That makes me very mad. Alright, just to point this out how bad the fan service in this particular anime is. In Japan, for its TV release, this anime had to be heavily censored, in the form of entire scenes being completely removed. Not even just black bars over everything yet, but just completely removed. That is how bad the fan service is. Think about it for a second. The anime, the country that basically thought of tentacle hentai back in like the 1800s, thought it was a bad idea to release this anime on TV uncensored. Or, yeah, uncensored. Wow. That is just freaking... Just think about that for a while. Now, I kind of went off on a rant there, and I apologize for it. But it is truly how I feel, and I thought that it was a pretty bad thing. Now, this anime consists of a first season, an OVA, which is basically episode 10.5 of the first season, and a second season. The second season came out in, I believe, 2012, and there has not been any announcement for a potential third season, which is kind of surprising considering the fact that it did end in a cliffhanger. Hopefully it will never come, because honestly there are so many shows out there that deserve a second season more than this anime does. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I cannot possibly give this anime a good rating. So I'm going to give this anime a 3 out of 10. It is a pretty bad anime. Now on my scale, 5 is an average, so it's not as bad as you would expect it to be, but it's still pretty freaking horrifying. It's... Alright. Just to point this out, I do have a number 0 on my scale just for the certain animes that are so incredibly bad that they don't even deserve to see the light of day. This anime is not among those, but it is still pretty bad, and I highly recommend that you stay away from it. It's not a good anime, and honestly, I didn't really enjoy it. So, I guess that's it for my first review. I hope you all enjoyed it. I actually kind of enjoyed doing it. I do hope that you all have a great Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you're celebrating the coming few days. Have a great New Year's, and I will see you all some point in the future. I haven't decided yet which anime I'm going to review next, but I'm pretty sure that I'll think of it at some point. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and see you next time. Bye.